Hi, it's Rebecca from the GDS Index, and here I have with me Sam Johnson from the Dublin Convention Bureau. Hi, Sam.
How are you doing, Rebecca?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for joining us this morning. So I have a few questions for you. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about the island's resilience strategy during this difficult COVID time?
Yeah, I suppose our actions kicked off almost middle of March, just before St. Patrick's Day, which obviously we were all gearing up to our usual significant celebrations. And we, as an agency, and we're very fortunate, and more, I suppose, really highlighted in this scenario, very fortunate to be part of the National Tourism Authority here in Ireland, Fáilte Ireland. So our responses were nationwide, and we obviously swung in behind the nationwide responses, being part of Fáilte Ireland. And as the crisis hit, it was very much, it was very frenetic. We started to look at the business being lost first, and as we got a very stark, quick indication of that, there was a plan put together essentially, and the plan is in 3 phases, and we've literally just entered phase 2. So the first phase was just titled shutdown. So it was direct engagement with our industry. So obviously we have many different departments within Fáilte Ireland, but the key pieces to this element initially were our programme teams. So we have business tourism and events, which is the Meet in Ireland and the Dublin Convention Bureau brands. Then we have our Wild Atlantic Way, our Ireland's Ancient East, our Ireland's Hidden Heartlands, and of course Dublin, capital city, on the leisure side. And the teams across those programmes had direct engagement with our industry, and that was literally lifting the phone to them to see what the impacts were. The impacts with regards to loss of business, bookings being cancelled, and that's leisure, and of course, the business tourism, business events side of things. And that direct engagement, or key account management, it was on a weekly basis. We made thousands of calls directly to business owners and operatives. And we then formed I suppose, a picture of what they needed at that time, what our industry needed. So we realized business was being lost, people were being laid off, there were shorter working weeks being put in place. And the organization then rolled out a number of supports, and those supports were in the form of webinars from experts. So from phase 1 for the shutdown, it was looking at business liquidity, human resource risk, temporary layoffs, and redundancies. It was management for temporary closures. There was safeguarding future revenues and business revenues and regeneration. And I suppose that's what we probably didn't realize, how that was going to pan out and how it was going to develop, and the extent of it. But thankfully we're through that phase now, and we've literally just entered phase 2, which is survival and prepare. Phase 3 will be planning for recovery, and phase 3 will look at creating demand and helping our industry to convert that demand that we create. But the middle phase that we're currently just entered is basically focusing on the preparation to reopen and relaunch. Phase 1 is very much about getting our industry to stage 2 and making sure that we have a critical mass of industry available. And we understand that not everybody will be able to reopen, whether that's because of health and safety restrictions or, in worst case scenarios, because of just financially they haven't survived. But phase 2 is looking at the financial recovery. It's looking at operations management, it's sales and marketing, revenue source recovery, and upskilling the industry as well. So we're trying to upskill our own industry through education, and it's education of the product around them, education of product nationwide, but also key work skills as well. So to those set of half a dozen webinars we put in phase 1, we've rolled out another, I think 5 in phase 2. So looking at jump-starting sales, operational guidance, the government supports as well that our government has put in place around the wage subsidy for employees. It was around, what else was there? Revenue, our own revenue department had numerous supports that we helped to negotiate in conjunction with revenue, and put webinars together for our industry along with fact sheets. We have a webinar on brand and represent our about brand and your own, I suppose, reputation. And the last support that we rolled out is the one that excites me actually the most, because it's about the person, it's about the individual, and it's around employee well-being. As a Fáilte Ireland employee, I'm very lucky that we've a couple of key supports. There's one is an employee assistance program, and that's a dedicated phone line where you can phone and speak to experts on any number of issues, whether it's it's health, it's well-being, it's finance. It's experts at the end of a phone line who you can anonymously talk to. And the other support that we have, and just recently rolled out, is a program called I Am Here, and that's about mental well-being, which obviously has been highlighted extensively in our own industry of late, and I think more. It's people are acutely aware of that at the moment. So we have that as Fáilte Ireland employees, but the organisation has now rolled that out to our industry. So those two supports for employee wellbeing have been rolled out and are now available to any of our industry to tap into, which I think that really stood out for me as a support. All the other supports that we've put in place have been very welcomed, very highly used and tapped into, because it's organizational or business focused, but taking it down to the individual employee, I think was the key bit of this. So and then specifically from our side of the industry and business tourism side, what we have done to try and help our industry through this, from Dublin Convention Bureau's side of things, we are membership or partnership based, so we have waived all of the fees for our industry for 2020, and we've told them that they will be due at the start of 21, and that's under review as we continual review. It's not a definite that we'll ask for that then. Through our Meet in Ireland team, we obviously attend all of the big headline shows, so our IMEXs and obviously IBTM and a number of other platforms as well, and we would have collected registration fees already for them, so we've returned them. We've returned all those fees, and should we be able to get out to market and any of those shows later in the year, we will not be charging our industry for that, because we realise that they're burning through their cash reserves at the minute. And another part of that, of burning through the cash reserves, is that if one of these shows goes ahead, or multiples of these shows go ahead, our industry may not have the cash to actually fly and stay, whether it's the States, whether it's Barcelona for IBTM, whether it's an M&I forum, whatever platform it is, may not even be able to go to London. So we will be putting a fund in place to support our industry getting out to market, to create that demand and to help convert the demand. And then with regards to cash flow, Fáilte Ireland provides financial support to business events coming into Ireland. And that's based on a number of international delegates. And already since March, we've lost almost 130 million worth of business events this year. And that's really only up to the next few months. We're starting to see August clear out now. We're actually starting to see September and events clear out as well. So a lot of the money that we had set aside for this year won't be used. So we're looking at what work would already have been done by our local DMCs and our local PCOs to get ready to host those and where we will use some of those financial supports as cash flow to help them through this situation, because there's a critical mass of work has already been done on these events that have cancelled out of 2020, and that has to be recognised. And then I suppose with regards to our regional convention bureau, because we have, whilst they're not part of Fáilte Ireland, we do financially support them all, and logistically support them all. So we have maintained our funding to them. We've sat down with them and looked through their plans, similar to we did with our own, to see what money we won't spend. We can spend this year. It's not as if we have opportunities to spend it, and really look to see where we can make budgets work. But we've given a commitment to the Regional Convention Bureau financially as well. So just to give them security. And obviously all of our supports are rolled out to them and their members, and we communicate it with them regularly to keep them on track. So
excellent. That sounds like a very, very comprehensive plan and lots of support there. Have you witnessed any inspiring examples of diversification from the industry at all in the last couple of months?
Yes, actually we have. Obviously a lot of our restaurants have diversified to takeaways, which is the norm, and there's some that are doing it very, very well through or showcasing what they're doing very well through social media. Always did, but there's a lot of mouth-watering examples going out there. You know how we like our pints of Guinness, and there's a few pubs have started to do doorstep deliveries of pints.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, to me, but I suppose in the industry we're in, it's all about face to face. It's all about that human connection, and I suppose a lot of us have resisted the virtual element of meetings, but some of our agencies have, I suppose, twisted and repositioned, repivoted their offerings, their team building offerings, their team networking, their offerings. They've gone virtual with that. So the likes of Orangeworks and Dynamic Events and Verve, they've all put different types of virtual networking and virtual team building activities out there. And thankfully, speaking to one of the business owners right at the start of this, or the middle of March, he was crestfallen. Mm-hmm. And within a week, they were able to roll this out. And they had taken all of their staff back on again. They're getting sales, they're getting traction from big multinational companies. Fantastic. Who just want to continually engage their staff in a creative way. And some of that is literally just fun. Some of it is centered around organizational values and organizational goals as well. So yeah, that they've repositioned what they do, but two, they've had very quick, immediate success at it as well. So it's positive to see. Fantastic. To see that.
Great.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have. Are there also the hotels, convention centres giving up their spaces for recovery centres and extra hotels? Do you have that as well?
A lot of our hotels have been directed by governments that they're not to have any tourism business. But yes, a lot of them are housing frontline staff or their families. A couple are taking expectant fathers. So some of the hotels close to maternity hospitals, where they've had to travel from outside the city into some of these maternity hospitals, where the fathers are not allowed in for the full duration of birth. So that was some of the positive stories on things. Some of them have repurposed their kitchens as well to help with homeless charities. One of our largest convention spaces at City West has been repurposed to support the health executive. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, hasn't been overly utilised at the minute. And then we had a general election at the start of the year, and we are waiting for a government to be formed. And obviously, through this crisis, talks probably have been slower than they would have been. and we're getting to a point now where it looks like government will be formed. So all of the TDs, we call them, or the members of parliament, need to meet, and the current government buildings are too small for for social distancing, or etc. So our convention centre, Dublin, so the national centre, if you like, is being repurposed as our government buildings for that purpose, and the team there are working through it at the moment. So it's operations are working hard to make sure that all the social distancing is in place. The auditorium is being repurposed as the government seating, if you like, and then obviously a lot of the other meeting spaces are being repurposed for the offices and meeting spaces of each individual party as negotiations continue to form that government. So that's an important repurposing, I suppose, for the nation, that that government is formed and we have a facility to do it in. So
absolutely,
yeah. Who else? Some of our chauffeur companies, I think, have repurposed and are working with the health executive to move critical staff around as well. So
okay.
yeah, everybody rolling in, and one of the not necessarily repurposing, but I just noticed a story yesterday that I posted on LinkedIn last night. So our city council have a new project called Wilding, the Wilding of Dublin. So they're letting the parks grow wild. They're letting a lot of the grass verges grow wild that ordinarily they wouldn't, that they would be cutting. And they've also they've started to replant different bulbs of flowers and plants that we haven't seen in quite some time. There's some spectacular images actually of the city from that project. So
wow, fantastic. Oh, very interesting. Lots of new and creative ideas.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, well, I hope you, when you get to go out again, I hope you can enjoy what Dublin will look like after.
Indeed, yeah. I'd love to see the city like that. I'm lucky enough. We have a 2 kilometre restriction on us, but within just over 1 kilometre, I'm literally at the beach. So
oh, wow.
Yeah, that's sort of a lot of our weekend walks.
Okay. Oh, great, super. Okay, thank you very much, Sam, for your time. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Good to speak to you as always. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you.